Hi guys, welcome back. It's Donwozi here, and today I'm going to be going over the settings I use for the Elder Scrolls Online. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the settings. So I'm going to set all these to default and go through them one by one. I'm just going to turn the music off. Right, so first of all, video brightness. I like to adjust my brightness to max so I can see literally everything that's going on. I found that when my brightness is a little bit darker, that I miss certain things or certain ads, enemies, mechanics, stuff like that. So that's why I like to have my brightness at full. I'm going to skip audio because that's more personal preference and go straight to gameplay. So now we're in gameplay. Right, so in terms of templates, I like to choose template 1 for my buttons. And then all I do is I go to the settings on the PlayStation and change it that way, which I will provide screenshots to how to get there and what I change. So basically all I do is I change the weapon swap, as you can see there, from the left D-pad to R3, which is the right trigger. The right analog. So then all I have to do is click in the right analog and then that weapon swaps. This gives you, so you can still move around with your left analog stick and you don't have to stop in place to swap weapon. Instead, you can still move and swap weapon at the same time. As you can see, we go to settings, and then in settings we go to accessibility. And then next we go to button assignments, and then you'll see this screen, and then on this screen all you do is change the left D-pad to R3, and then you can change your weapon swap with R3. As for the rest of the settings, I keep the vibration on, I keep the foot inverse schematics on. Combat cues, I like to keep combat cues on, but that's entirely up to you. Custom colours, I like to put these on, and then friendly brightness, I put that max, and then you can just test it here. So in terms of like in PvP and stuff like that, ground healing and stuff like that, just so you know what is yours. And I like to keep that green because in every game green's always been healing, so that's why I keep that as that. In terms of enemy colour, which is like ground AoEs and stuff like that, I like to have that as hot pink, bright hot pink, and I put enemy brightness up full, so you just test that. So that's what it will look like in a trial or in a dungeon. I feel that the bright pink is the best one for me. It's the one I can identify quickly, so I can just easily step out of mechanics and stuff like that. But it's entirely up to you. You can have any colour you want, whichever one you think would be best for you, and then you can just test it with this. Prevent attacking innocents, I have that off just because everyone's been walking around town, used a skill and hit an innocent, got a bounty, so I like to keep that off. This is one of the most important one of the most important settings, I think. Quick cast ground abilities. So basically what this does is, if you have this off, say like you want to use liquid lightning, you'd have to press the button once to indicate where you want it to go, and then press it again to actually activate the skill, which in terms of doing rotations in trials and doing rotations on dummies or in dungeons, this is a big time waste, and it also overcomplicates your rotation, so you have to tap this twice to activate the skill. So what I like to do is always have this on, so then all you have to do is tap the skill once, because as you can see you can indicate easily where you want your skill to be placed, and then just press the button once to place it, rather than having to press it twice and overcomplicating your actual rotation. So that's why I like to have that on. In terms of these are just like cosmetic stuff and mount speed, etc. So that would be entirely up to you. Auto loot, I like to have that on just in case you're doing like speed runs and stuff like that, and obviously everyone wants to pick up loot, so when you kill a boss you can just quickly loot him and keep running. The rest of it, it's not too important. Default soul gems, I like to have the gold purchase ones because I don't use crown purchase ones. I've never bought a crown purchase soul gem, so that's why I like to keep the gold purchase ones on. And in terms of this, tutorials, etc., that's entirely up to you. So now we're on camera. I like to have my invert Y off and assassination camera on, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Screen shake, I put that at full, but that don't make much of a difference either. Now, camera sensitivity, I like to have that up to full because I like my camera to be able to turn as quick as possible. Like, this isn't even quick enough for me, but then, like, again, that's entirely up to you. First person point of view, I don't really use first person, so I'm not going to go over that. In terms of third person, anyone who's competitive in the game or just wants to get better at the game, the best way to play this game in dungeons and trials and stuff like that is to play third person. So the thing with third person is I like to zoom my camera as far out as I can get it, because then you get a wider field of your arena or the place you're in, so you can see enemies, certain mechanics a lot better. Like in Maelstrom Arena, if you have your third person view fully out, you can see the whole of the arena, so you can see where mobs are spawning or where mechanics are coming from and stuff like that. So I think this is one of the most important things that you can do, is zoom fully out and learn to play third person and fully zoomed out. In terms of horizontal position and horizontal offset, that's entirely up to you. You can change it however you want. I just keep them as default. So now we're going to go over interface. In terms of display name or character name or online ID, that's your choice. I prefer to display online ID just so I know who I'm talking to, or I know who I'm in front of. Group revive counter, I like to keep this on automatic, and the rest of these, like quest trackers, quest givers, I just keep all these on, but that's up to you. So next one is weapon indicator. This is quite important just to keep, so you can keep track of the charge of your weapons, and it also tells you when your weapon is fully depleted, which it'll tell you in the bottom left hand corner next to your health bars if you have that on. It's good for keeping track of when you need to recharge your weapons and stuff. Armor indicator, this is also a good one to have on, just so you can keep track of when pieces of armor have been destroyed, because as you know, if a piece of armor is destroyed, you become more squishy because obviously you don't have that armor rating, and you also, I think, if you lose 2 pieces of armor, you then lose, or 1 piece of armor, if it's fully destroyed, then it's not classed as an active armor piece, so you will lose a 5 piece of the set that you're running. So that's why it's good to keep track of this. And these are entirely up to you, the quick chat. Now I'm going to go over nameplates. Nameplates, I like to have them off just so there's a lot less things on screen that you have to look at, so you're not getting distracted by things. Most of these are off. Health bars, I like to turn them off. I think they're not important at all, because at the end of the day, if you're in a group, you can see the health bar of your group members in the top left corner. If you're fighting an ad, you can see the ad's health that you're looking at anyway. And if you've got your own health bar turned to always be on, you can see your own health bar. So I don't think that's very necessary. It's just one more thing that you need to look at, and I like to keep things very simple. So the rest of these are entirely up to you. Resurrectable players, I like to keep that on, so you're not scrambling around looking for a player that's down. you can just spot them straight away and go straight to them. Followers, I like to have this off because I think this is another thing that's distracting. Like, as you can see there, the pet, we know where he is. We don't need to keep track of him, he always stays relatively close. When you have this on, it's not that distracting, it's only really small, as you can see, but I just think it's another thing that it's going to clog up your screen, so I like to keep this off. Glow thickness, it's not very important, and glow intensity, it's not too important. As you can see, the glow around the test dummy here. So this is a friendly right now, and obviously we'll attack him, and then he'll have a red glow around him, which means he's an enemy. I'll just go to my character sheet and turn my pet off. So that one's entirely up to you. I don't think it makes that big of a deal. Obviously the enemy glow, that's okay to have. I like to have that on. And this one's just social stuff like HUD display and chat settings and stuff like that. So that one again would be entirely up to you. So now I'm going to go over the most important one, which is combat. First of all is ability bar. I like to have that on always show, just in case, just so like when I'm doing my rotation I can keep track of skills and where they are, because I tend to forget where skills are and press wrong skills by accident. By having the ability bar as always show, it's always there so you can keep track of it. And the next one is attribute bars. I like to have that on always show as well, just so you can easily keep track of your magic, stamina and health. Resource numbers, there are a few different choices here. You can have numbers only, which will just show the values, the full values of your like attribute bars and health bars of enemies and stuff. Then the next one is percentages only, so it'll show you the percentages of your health bars and enemies percentages. The next one you can have is numbers and percentages, which will then show you both, as you can see there. But my personal preference is to have percentages only. I know the value of my magicka, health and stamina, and I like to have percentages because certain bosses and certain boss fights, they have mechanics that comes at certain percentages. So that's why I prefer to keep track of percentages instead of them both. I think it's a bit more cluttered, and in the heat of battle when you're moving about and stuff like that, sometimes it gets a bit hard to track like a certain boss, like when you've got an ad over here and you want to trick this, blah blah blah. So that's why I like to keep it on percentages, but that and again is entirely up to you. Combat tips, I like to keep that on because certain mechanics have a text display that comes up before the mechanic, which will prepare you for the mechanic. So that's why I like to keep that on. Ultimate number, I also keep this on, so you can keep track of your ultimate. As you can see there, I have 126 ultimate. And the next one is combat text. I like to turn this off in dungeons and trials because I'm not too bothered about seeing what I'm hitting for. On a test dummy, when you're testing out builds and stuff like that, it's good to have it on. I just like to keep it turned off in dungeons and trials, and then on a test dummy I will keep it on. It's also good, apparently I've heard that if you have combat text off, it does help with lag, but I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me on that, or don't hold me to it, but just in case, I turn that off. Plus it's not that important in dungeons and trials. So the next one is the buffs and debuffs, so the buff trackers that you will see on screen, which one will be above your health bar, one will be below the enemy's health bar. So I have these on always show, and the ones I have turned off is permanent effects, because I'm not too I know when I know I have a Munderstone active, and I know when my food's active and how long it has left, so I keep that off. There's certain things on certain classes that you'd want to keep these on for, like the spectral bow. You have to have permanent effects and long effects turned on to be able to see the bow counter. But I think they should really change that and have it on a different setting, just because, like in trials, when you have certain buffs and debuffs active, the add-on bar at the bottom can become a bit too much. Like we've all seen it when we've got Warhorns active and Worm active and this active. Your buff tracker will just become an absolute mess, like along your screen. So that's why I like to keep these off. I keep long effects off and permanent effects off, and effects from others, because, well, effects from others you can keep that on if you want, just to track stuff like elemental drain and major fracture and stuff like that. I keep it off because I know that they're going to be applied, and if they're not going to be applied, then stuff like elemental drain, if that's not applied, then your sustain's going to go to poo. So that's why I keep them off, just so it keeps my screen very simple, so then I can easily track certain buffs that I need to track. And that's it for the settings, guys. If you guys have any other settings that you want to share, then, or anything that I left out of the video, then just leave me a comment. Please like if this has helped. Please leave me a sub, give me a subscribe, and share the content. Also, if there are any questions that you want an immediate answer to, then the best way to contact me would be through my Discord, which I will leave in the description of the video. And on the Discord we also have we have other experienced players on Elder Scrolls, so there will always be someone there to give you advice and stuff like that. And we also have certain channels like ESO Fashion, we have general chat, and we have PvP and PvE specific build discussions, like we have sorcerer build discussions, tank, healer, Nightblade DPS, etc. We have a channel for everything. So please join our Discord if you want to be a part of the community, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. I hope this has helped. Thanks, guys.